Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy P Funk thinking right out here in the lab, and I'm back in the book. Ooh, hoo, hoo. We about to get into some Nile Valley presence in Europe. I done took you everywhere else. We gotta go to Europe too. They got theirs and they got their hands in our pockets too. Let's talk about it. Radisms, 25 rule to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's a message in my stories for life. I give you life lessons. You tune into receiving them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right? Excuse me. Right thinking mission is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking way of life through mental and spiritual discipline. Practice daily will help and guide you to attain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. You see where we're going with this? So let's get there together. So I asked the question, do you know you? You will when I'm through. Yeah, that's what I do. It's rhetorical, but if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you, right thinkers? Know thyself and too. Might be true. All right, let's talk about the Nile Valley presence in Europe. I'm still in the Nile Valley contributions to civilization. Just going to show you some more information that you probably didn't get from nowhere else. Because why? They don't tell you this stuff. All right, let's go. If the parallels between the mythological history of Isis and Horus and the history of Mary and child Jesus be considered, it is almost impossible, but very difficult to see how Europeans could possibly avoid perceiving in the teachings of Christianity reflections of the best and the most spiritual doctrines of the Egyptian religion. They redone the story, but they swear they didn't take it from us. That was from Sir E.A. Wallace Budge, The Gods of Egypt. Now, I've been telling you the pictures of Wind of the Heart, right? My out feather. This is their version of the Wind of the Heart, or the soul they call it. What the hell is going on there? What the hell is this? Okay, I've been looking at this for a while. I ain't figured out yet. Now I read what it say, but none of it that don't make no sense. This is supposed to be the Wind of the Heart. Let me break that down for you right quick, because that freaked me out. This ain't the Wind of the Heart I know. This is an image. I just showed you the image depicting the Wind of the Soul. It was carved in the West Tempium of the Ordin Cathedral in France. This is the Roman concept. It details the soul of men being weighed at the scales of judgment, aka Maya. We took one at a time. One at a time. Not no. Calm down. See, this is why I get crazy because dude, this is just wrong, right? While the devils and the angels manipulate the scales. We got Tahuti, you got Anubis. They're both there to make sure you get a fair shake. Ain't no devils, ain't no angels. No, that's just wrong. Again, the saved souls cling to the hem of the angels' garments. I ain't going there. For what? Safety. While the souls of those condemned to damnation are what? Seized by the devil and cast into the pit of hell. I'm not even going to go there. That makes no sense. But not do a lot of stuff that they do anyway. But that just, I had to look at that. I said, wait a minute. I know the way, I know. This ain't what I know. This don't even match nothing what I know. So angels and devils at the scales in my, no. me get back to the lesson. I'm going to put that in there. They take stuff, they misinterpret it, and then present it their way. That makes no sense at all to me. I try to learn what somebody else is doing. I try to get the understanding. I read it, but it don't. None of this that picture. None of it makes sense. I don't know who carved it, but what the hell? All right, let's go. Sorry about that. The discoveries of the Egyptian antiquities in the 18th and 19th centuries fueled the passion of Europeans in every nation of the continent. The collections amassed in the Louvre and British museums created a surge of naturalistic lust for the what? The process of exotic artifacts from the Nile Valley. Egypt was systematically raped and pillaged for more than, you ready? A century before academians developed an archaeological, mythological concept of excavations. By then, countless of monuments had been destroyed, thousands of papyrus and mummies were burned, and some of the finest statuary in the world had been spirited away in private collections. They took all the good stuff, put it in a private collection. What the hell is that? The second wave of the European invasion on Egypt was similar to in many respects, to the invasions by the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, more than 2,000 years earlier. Everybody came into Egypt, took something out. Now, in both instances, the mystique of ancient Egypt held the Europeans' mind in a trance and created within them an insatiable desire to recreate the spirit of the Nile Valley within their homelands. They took the knowledge and brought it back home. All the Greeks came to Egypt and took it back to Greece, became famous. That's what they're saying right there. But one of the elements most often depicted in Europe was that of the African concept of God. The Neteru of the Nile Valley evolved to become the gods of the Greeks and the Romans. Remember, Egyptian commissioners didn't have the word God. That's a word comes from the Greeks and the Romans. We call it Neteru, 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 Neteru. But the names of the African, what's this? The Neteru of the Nile Valley evolved into become gods from the Roman and Greeks. And the names of the African holy royal family of Asar, Aset, and Haru were changed. Pay attention. By the Greeks to Osiris, Isis, and Horus. They were later referred to as the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost in the early Christendom. When the Christians came in, the Romans came and took out what? The female. Female is the Holy Spirit, according to them. But they do what they do, all right? But that's the Christendom concept. Now over here, this is the original Madonna. Everybody knows this picture. That's Iset. That's Haru. She got the crown. She got the cow horn. She got the sun just between her head. Okay? She's sitting there nursing her son. This is the Christian concept. See, they put the halo around her head. She's the virgin and he's holy. So they both got the halos. They took the concept and made it theirs. They call it Christianity. All right, let's go. This is just information. Now, in the Roman times, the worship of Aset was widespread on all main lines of communication out of Europe, usual in parts of important markets, towns, and rivers. With the advent of Christianity, now many chapels of Isis were taken over, and the representations of the goddess with the infant Horus in her arms became a picture of Virgin Mary carrying the Holy Child. Excuse me. About to sneeze. Felt that little tickle coming in. All right, but it was known Black Madonna. The Christians changed it. They made the Virgin Mary and Little Son. Now, as Isis was dark skinned, we see it. We see it. She's black. Both of them are black. They call it Black Madonna. It's black. Isis was dark skinned. They became famous black virgins. Notre Dame in Paris was built on the remains of the Temple of Isis. The original name of the city was Para Asidios, the Grove of Isis. There are black virgins near Marseille, near Barcelona, Czechoslovakia, in Poland, and numerous other cities in Europe. So they knew the Black Madonna. They knew Isis was black. They knew that. Now, the worship of Isis and Horus, when you hear those names, you see me go with Isis and Horus, that's the Greek concept. Okay, hold on one second. Excuse me. Yeah, but now, the worship of Isis, Horus, as the Black Madonna and the child was widespread throughout the southern Europe until the convening of the Nicene Council when in 332 ACE. Now, after that meeting, the images of the African-born black Aset Haru Europeans in appearance and their names were changed to Mary and Jesus. They saying it. I've been telling you that for the longest. We all been knowing this forever. But despite this action, many churches in Europe continue to what? Secretly worship the Black Madonna. They got the Vatican. They got to go downstairs and hide to worship and kiss the feet of the Black Madonna. So they don't want everybody to feel bad. The Christians to feel bad because they're worshiping the Black Madonna. You feel me with this? That's perpetrating at the highest level. You stole our gods. People who were still gods were still anything. Moving on. Black Madonna and child. There were shrines in the Black Madonna in Italy, Spain, Russia, and currently whenever Pope John Paul II visits the shrine of Czechoslovakia in the native Poland, he often prays at the feet of the Black Madonna. It has also been suggested that Chief Anthony Diop that Paris, France, was also the site of a temple that was formerly dedicated to Isis. Remember, Isis is the name the Greeks gave her. They say Isis, you already know that ain't commission. That's the Greeks, the Romans. Okay. He suggests that the term Parisiri could mean Temple of Isis because there was a city at that time in Kemet. Hello, Diop states. The worship of Isis was evidently quite widespread in France, especially in the Parisian basin. Temples of Isis in Western Palace were everywhere, but it would be more exact to say houses of Isis. For the Egyptians, these so-called temples were called the exact meaning of the enclosure surrounding the house. The name Paris could have resulted from the juxtaposition of Per-Isis, a word that designated certain cities in Egypt. As Hubach, observing, quoting Maspero, according to the root of the name of France capital, could be derived basically from Wolof. This would indicate what extent the situation had been reversed. They changed the identity of our gods. Throughout this enormous writings, Diop referenced the many linguistic similarities between the Medru Neter and the Wolof, the language spoken in his native land of Senegal. Okay? One of the finest examples of Gothic architecture is the famed Cathedral of Notre Dame, which stands in a small island of what la Site on the Seine River in the city of Paris. But this cathedral is dedicated to Notre Dame, the French expressions for Our Lady, the Virgin Mary. The construction of this building occurred between 1163 and 1250 ACE, but it was built on the site of two ancient temples, the earliest of which was originally called Per Isis and was dedicated to Isis. E. A. Wallace Budge, former keeper of the Egyptian and Assyrian antiquities at the British Museum, described the similarities between Isis and Mary in Volume 2 of his book called The Gods of the Egyptians. Budge declared, "It is clear that the early Christians bestowed some Isis attributes upon their Virgin Mary." That's like saying they borrowed some of the Egyptians' knowledge. Okay? And there is little doubt that in her character of loving and protecting mother, she appears strongly to the imagination of all the Eastern people among whom her coat came, and that the pictures and the sculptures wherein she is represented in the act of suckling her child Horus from the foundation for the Christian figures and the paintings of the Madonna and Child. Several of the incidents of the wandering of the Virgin with the child in Egypt, as recorded in the apocryphal Gospels, reflects scenes in the life of Isis as described in the text found on the Metanich stela, and many of the attributes of Isis, the godmother, the mother of Horus, are identical to those of Mary, the mother of Christ. But they didn't steal no, they didn't take nothing. The writers of the Apocrypha in the Gospel intended to pay additional honor to Mary the Virgin by what? Ascribing her to the attributes which up to the time of the advent of Christianity, they had regarded as the peculiar property of Isis. Still identity. Just outright just changed and made it white, made a little baby white, and we got us in the religion, Christianity. And y'all still in that effect to the day. And we've been knowing this for thousands of years. It's a sham. But I digress. I fellowship with Christians. My best friend and pastors, Christians. So I don't have a problem with that. Again, I'm just giving you the origins of the concept, where it came from and what they did. That's all. Now let me tell you right here, let me wrap it up for you. Now, okay. There are a host of other images from Kemet which have also made their way into religious iconography. The painting and the carvings of the winged nature Maya. She lady stressed out, that's her. She represents balance, okay? So the whole thing with what we did was symbolism. They understood how to read the symbolism, and they came and took it and made it something else. The Neter Maya served as a prototype of what we call Christian concept of the angels. That's where I got the wings from. Maya represented, again, she represents principles of truth, justice, righteousness, order, reciprocity. All things that's divine and good are her symbols. And she also represented by the scales. Scales of justice was used to weigh the souls of their day of judgment. That's how important my girl was. Okay? She had everything that you needed. And they took parts of her too. Again, they pretty much just picked poor Robin clean. All right? But again, that's my girl, so I got big respect for her. But in some religious paintings in the Middle Ages, the images of the angel of God can be seen holding what? The scale of Maya. Just as is a woman blindfold holding the scale. Maya was the scale. One of the more prominent images in Nile Valley period in Europe was that which represented the resurrection of the African nature Asar. Y'all know him as Osiris. Thus, this powerful symbol was called the Tekken in Kemet. Y'all call it the obelisk now. That represents the lost part that Osar they couldn't get. He was cut up in 14 pieces. They found 13. The one they didn't find was the penis. That's the Tekken. Before that, we go a little further back. That represents Gab's penis when they separated heaven from earth because there's a love embrace. All this is just symbolic, esoteric teaching to get you to understand things and learn them for yourself. That's where I got the information from. I understand it clearly. But it was later renamed by who? Yeah, the Greeks, who called it obelisk, like I told you. I know this. Currently, obelisks can be found where? In Paris, London, Istanbul, Igao, and numerous other cities throughout Europe. They putting Osiris' penis everywhere. It's in Washington, D.C., the monument. It's in Central Park, okay? Everywhere. Do they misunderstand the purpose? Yep. It represents the penis. Simple. Either one, Osiris or Gab, don't make a difference. Still a penis. All right? But the very first obelisk erected in Rome was in 10 BCE to commemorate what? Augustus' conquest of Egypt. His conquest, give me that penis. I want the penis. Everybody got the penis. The obelisk, y'all call it. But it's the penis. Okay? Y'all penis lovers. All right? But a second obelisk was also removed from where? Alexandria, and erected where? In Rome. In the spring of 357 ACE. It wasn't going to be outdone by the Greeks. They wanted their own too. So they got theirs. All right? And establishment of what? Christianity. What y'all need an obelisk for? Y'all ain't got nobody cut up. Y'all ain't got no pieces missing. Y'all Christ was reborn again after being hung on the cross. He wasn't cut up. So some stuff that ain't really setting out for me personally. So I'm just in a conscientious objective with certain things y'all say. I don't always got to agree with it. I'm always going to be objective to y'all stuff. All right. So there are now a total, you ready for this? 13 obelisks in Rome. So you got 13 penises all over Rome. Can't get over that. The most famous obelisk is in where? In Italy. It stands in where? You ready? The center of St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. Okay? The Piazza di San Pietro. Very few people realize or understand that on Easter Sunday, as the Pope stands on his balcony, overlooking the multitudes of deliverers of his sermon, praises the resurrection of the Son of God. Jesus didn't resurrect. Jesus the Christ, he faces a 6,000-year-old symbol that they just got wrong. That represents the what? The resurrection of the Nile Valley nature of Sar. That's the real resurrection. Okay? Why? Because he lost it. His wife regave him the fake one. The first dildo ever made was Asar's penis, the Teton. How about that? That's why. That's history. That's knowledge that y'all don't even care about. Why? It don't serve a purpose. For me, at the time, just information. Now I see it's playing an important role. 20 years ago, I read this book just to get the knowledge for myself. Now I'm sharing it with others. Good deal. I'm with that. All right. But, okay, these are all your obelisks all over the place. They got obelisks everywhere. Okay? Everywhere they got obelisks. Here's the obelisk there. You get an obelisk. You get an obelisk. Okay? Everybody wanted the penis. You had to have the penis. Okay? Now, I'm going to do the sort of development of European secret society. I think I did this already. I did that one. I just backtracked and got that information for the presence of Europe. They stole our gods. They stole the gods. And they harnessing the penis of the god. And not even know it. They think it's something else. Misinterpretation, misunderstanding leads to what? Misrepresentation and misinformation. We full of that right now. There's a bunch of misinformation. We in the information age. They don't care. Why? If it's misinformation or not, it's information. So they just throw it all at you. See where I'm going with this? Your discernment got to be sharper and it got to be on point to recognize what? Real from the not real. A lot of us is fall short on that. So I'm here to help you out recognize the real. I'm real. Check me out. In closing, right thinkers, may you all live to be 100. Me 100 miles a day. So I know my right thinkers who understand now the Nile Valley presence in Europe passed away. They took everything.